The students lined up on the assembly ground. They adjusted themselves and stood at ease as they recited the national anthem. The principal came up immediately they finished. "Good morning, students," he addressed. "Good morning, sir," they responded in a single tone. "Today, as we start a new term and session, I pray you excel, but there is no shortcut to success. He that failed to plan, planned to fail. And I want you to remember to do the right thing, at the right time, during the right place. Today, we are relieving our acting prefects of their duties, and we are giving them their well-deserved position. Before I call on the teacher in charge, I implore you to listen to them and also respect them. A word is enough for the wise." He called on the teacher in charge, Mr. Adefala. Mr. Adefala mounted the assembly podium. He called the names of the students, from the head boy to the assistant timekeeper. Oyinkosola Jeminusi. Oyinkosola Jeminusi was a timid girl in SS2 science. She wasn't part of the students who acted as prefect last session. It came as a shock to her. Her leg felt heavy. Her teacher took her to the podium herself. The vice principal addressed the students for some minutes, and they were dismissed. Oyinkosola became the talk of her class. The students congratulated her. For the first time in her life, she was the center of attraction. As the timekeeper jingled the bell for break, Oyinkosola and her bosom friend Abisola, they left for the library. They discussed about her new position. Why Oyinkosola complained to her friend, "I just don't know how I got here. I don't think I will be able to function." "And why is that?" Abisola asked. "How can I be a timekeeper when I don't even have a wristwatch?" Oyinkosola complained. "You can buy one though," Abisola replied. "Buy? You are talking as if you were a stranger to me." "Okay, don't worry. I will get you one," Abisola assured. Oyinkosola was in a deep thought. She soliloquized as she walked behind her sister and her friends on their way home. Who would have thought I would be a prefect? I don't even have what it takes. I live on hands-me-down shoes and clothes. My father is poor. He's poorer than the church rat. He's just the old security guard who rides bicycle to a far distance every day to put food on our table. We only eat rice on Sundays." As the children got closer to their house, they met their father sitting under the almond tree, which was unusual of him. "Papa, why are you home this early?" they asked. "I'm on leave," he answered. Oyinkosola broke the latest news to her family. Her father was so happy. He cherished education a lot. Even though his friends and family talked him out of sending his girls to school, they believed that educating a girl child was a waste. Pa Jeminusi was adamant when Oyinkosola older sister, Feyikemi, repeated junior secondary school 3 times. The principal advised her to withdraw, but their father begged the principal for one more time. Even though other students in this category would have stayed at home, he didn't give room for Feyikemi to say no. Oyinkosola met Feyikemi in junior secondary school too. She became her teacher, even though Feyikemi didn't like it. After 3 weeks of being at home, Pa Jeminusi fell ill. They cooked series of herbs, but to no avail. His health kept on deteriorating. They took him to the primary health center in the village. There were no changes. On fateful morning of 7th October 1973, Olapeju Hubert Jeminusi kicked the bucket. Some of the family members of Pa Jeminusi went to school to bring the children home. The teachers sympathized with them. They called the children out. When Feyikemi and Oyinkosola saw their family members, they were appalled. Oyinkosola looked at her father's immediate brother, to the other siblings. "What happened to my father?" she asked. "When we get home, you will know," he replied. "I'm sorry. If there is nothing, we have no reason to leave the school. Papa won't be happy with that." Feyikemi refused. The other side. "You are no longer a baby, Feyikemi. Your father is gone." Feyikemi busted into tears. Oyinkosola was silent. She was not giving any reaction until she fainted. As the Jeminusi family mourned the death of their beloved father, they also prayed and hoped for a miracle. Oyinkansola had not wake up. She fell into coma. They were transferred to a state hospital in the town, but they couldn't afford it. They were praying for a miracle. Pa Jeminusi died at the age of 85. He was a man who was favored with a great stature. He usually told his children while he was alive that they were not supposed to be his children, but his grandchildren or his great-grandchildren. When he was 25 years old, he got married to Madam Olubunmi Margaret Coker, who was born into a wealthy family. She graduated from university outside the country. Pa Jeminusi met her when she was serving her country as a Nigerian youth corps. The family of Olubunmi were not contented with their daughter's marital choice, but they wanted her to be happy, being the only child. Olubunmi's father gave Pa Jeminusi lands for poultry and cocoa farm. Pa Jeminusi was a big farmer. He had many workers. He was happily married to his wife, but they had no issue, no child. They did several tests, both medically and traditionally. They were both tested okay. 25 years later, Olubunmi left the marriage. She went back to America. Some years after, her father died. She didn't come home, though he was given a befitted burial. 2 months after, the family collected all the properties that was given to Pa Jeminusi. He went back to his village when he had nothing to fall back on, except the house he built in his village. He was the first man to build a brick house in his village. He got married after a lot of pressure. He married a young maiden who was betrothed to him, Adebimpe Elizabeth Olonode. As at that time he was 65 years old. After some miscarriages, Elizabeth gave birth to a bouncing baby boy named Olamide, but he died 10 years after. This brought a great devastation to Pa Jeminusi and his wife. The womb was empty for good 3 years before she conceived and gave birth to a bouncing baby girl named Feyikemi Jeminusi. 2 years after, Adebimpe gave birth to a bouncing baby girl named Oyinkansola Jeminusi. 6 years after, she gave birth to the last child of the family, Ikeola Georgina Jeminusi. As at 1973, Feyikemi was 18 years, Oyinkansola was 16 years, and Ikeola was 10 years old. She was in primary 3. 2 weeks after, Oyinkansola opened her eyes. She saw her mother next to her, with her sisters who were asleep on the other bed. She was fighting the tears and the battle of why within her. Why would she open her eyes into this life of distress, life of agony and poverty? When Papa was alive, we were suffering. He couldn't meet the needs of his family. We became the best children in the compound. We couldn't say no when they sent us on an errand, even when we were not comfortable with the unending errands. After all, most of our necessities come from them. Why us? Why God? She thought within her. As Adebimpe saw that Oyinkansola opened her eyes, she shouted for joy. The nurses rushed into the ward. They were astounded. They congratulated them. As days went by, Oyinkansola was getting better, but she wasn't talking. She only nodded or gave a gesture. The doctor referred them to a teaching hospital in the city. The villagers contributed money for them. She was taken to the teaching hospital in the city and was given an appointed date for surgery. She was brought back home. They couldn't gather the money for the surgery. Their house was filled with visitors, teachers, students, even their church member. They brought gifts in cash and in kind. She was advised to go back to school till God sent help their way. Thank you for watching. Kindly subscribe to this channel and also click on the notification bell so that you'll be notified when we upload a new video. Thank you. Bye.